Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good. How's it going?
Not too bad. I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm trying not to make my phone fall.
I've
How you been?
been all right. How about you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Getting used to like I used to be working only 4 days. Now I'm getting back to work 5 days. So I'm kind of like getting used to like work a full week. It's been kind of like really tiring, but it's not too bad. How about you? How's everything going with the band?
Oh, great, great. I was actually a bit stressed to do this one since it's like the first episode, and after I made the post, I literally like I had to go get groceries, so I was like, I need to get back before 7.
Yeah, yeah. Once you do it like a bunch of time, you don't get the same stress. But the first few time, it's a fucking nightmare. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're amazing. Getting my tea delivery.
yeah. I got my sugary sugar right here, so
Yeah, I was trying to drink a little bit of coffee before the stream, and like I don't know. I think it's just too late for me. So I was like, okay, let's go with chamomile tea so I can fall asleep after.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's I figured for these streams, like the first few people that I asked, aside from one, for like the first 2 weeks or so, or like people that I just knew personally. So
Yeah.
just to kind of get, and then later on we have a few people who I've actually never met before, who I'm just like a fan of. So I just asked them, hey, do you wanna do this or but yeah, no, but who better to have as the first guest than the person that I ripped off this idea from in the first place? So
It's fine. I enjoy inspiring people, so like you can rip up off all my idea. It's fine.
perfect. So that means once we have new music out, finally, I'll start filming myself lip syncing on TikTok. Then,
Yeah, that's what
Sweet.
happens when you leave me with too much coffee and I have like too much free time. I'm just like, you know what? I had been doing like a few hours of work, and like, you know what? After a while, like your brain kind of like can't take it anymore. And I was going crazy, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun on TikTok. And then I saw that my songs were there. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a blast with this.
So someone said Spanish, please.
Oh.
I'm part Cuban, but I can't actually speak Spanish, though.
Yeah, I do speak Spanish, but like since we're doing the live stream in English, disculpa, tenemos que hablar en inglés porque la gente que van a escuchar no hablan inglés, pero I mean, I'm sorry.
Una una cerveza, por favor.
It's what old people say, like
Yeah, that's what everyone knows.
yeah, oh, la cuenta, por favor.
Yeah, so I guess to start things off, I'll say like how's the album promo been so far? I know it came out a little while ago, but how's things been going in terms of promoting it from like after the release? Because I know like the really important stuff is before, but how's it been after it's been finally released? Like, what have you been doing to kind of keep the momentum going?
Yeah, it's kind of hard when like you're releasing something and then like you have to keep pushing it because like for a lot of people, me including, after a while you kind of like you feel like you're pushing it so hard that people are kind of like over it. But it's been pretty good. Like I'm still getting reviews, which I was not expecting because it's been what it's been like 4 months now, and but the sales have been pretty amazing. Like I think I have like 20 copy left, so I'm gonna
Oh,
have to probably reprint it pretty soon. But it's been pretty good. Like I said, like I'm still getting reviews, and I was not expecting that. But and like people are still finding me, and like there's a lot of word to what's the word for that? Word to mouth. So like a lot of people are like finding me because of other people that are already like following me
yeah,
and they're
word
like
of mouth.
sharing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm starting to get like younger fans, which I've never had before. Like I usually like I would say like my fans are kind of older people, and it's the first time that I've actually seen people that are like 15, 16, 17 following me. I'm just like, fuck, I have to be careful what I say. Like, I don't want to be like a bad
exactly.
influence. I don't want to be like banned by the parents.
Yeah, it's just like you don't want to, like, as much as all of us like doing it, you don't want to have to like swear like a sailor, you know?
Yeah, and I tend to swear a lot. I feel like
same here.
In English it's less intense, but like in French I'm like terrible. And I actually have a coworker that I think she's like 18, and like when she started working with me, like she wasn't swearing at all. Like she was like really polite, really like nice, and like she talked really well. And like I think it was like a few weeks ago I was like looking at her and I just realized that she started swearing a lot. And I'm just like, oh shit. What have I done?
That was me.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's freaking. Yeah, I know it's true. The thing I guess I found with our stuff is because since recently I've been kind of learning Instagram and all that, and learning just social media in general. Because before the beginning of the pandemic, I only used to just do the Facebook. I used to just do the Facebook side of things, and in doing that, I've been learning from people like you and also Matt Bacon, who spoiler will be on the show soon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I've like learned a lot from you guys. And the thing that I was looking at is that Instagram the way like the analytics go and the way like you can tell like who's looking at your stuff is so much easier than on Facebook. Because on Facebook it's so complicated, and I never, like, before the pandemic I never used to look at that stuff, because since we were playing live so much, the people who went and saw us live, we would be like, okay, yeah, check us out on Facebook, and we'd get all the likes and all that just from those people, you know? So now the pandemic, and because we're like such a live band, like we're such a interact with people like in person more, that I never thought about any of this stuff before. So when the pandemic hit and I didn't post anything for like 6 months because I just didn't know, because I just didn't know what to do, and I see what happened afterwards, I'm like, I gotta get back to the drawing board. And what I've been learning is that like on Instagram is that it's much easier to look at like what kind of people are looking at you and from what country. And I think with our style of music, the younger people aren't really there. I actually looked at like, oh, what's the average age range that who follow us, and it's like I think between 25 and 35.
Yeah, mine it's like way older than that. Like it would be like around 40 to like almost like 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's because the type of music that I do. Like I'm not talking about my band. Like my band is like other kind of they have other stats. But like for my own project, like most of the people that are following me, they're older, and I think it's because since I do like trip hop and like darkwave, it's a genre that was really popular in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
So like I get people that are like more nostalgic, I guess, with that kind of music, and it's my favorite kind of music too. So I'm like I can relate to those people. But yeah, it's cool that you can like really go into depth with your stats, and I feel like Instagram is really, really good for that.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing, and that's actually, I can definitely see that, because as I told you a little while back, I finally got around to listening to your album and I bought it and all that. And I have a bunch of friends who are all goths or like alternatives. I think like in my close circle of friends outside of music, I'm like there's like half and half. Like there's a couple of us that are metalheads, but then the other half are all goth, alternative, synthwave, darkwave, post-punk, stuff like that, which some of it I dig, some of it I don't. But but with your stuff, I can definitely see that, because it was like, I know, because a lot of the goths that I know that I'm friends with, they're all like kind of grew up in the 80s and 90s, and they're kind of at that age now where they're older, but they're still listening to like all the newer stuff and all that. So
I can relate to those people. I mean, like I grew up in the 90s, and like when I think when I was like 14 or like 15, like I discovered electronic music, and my dad was freaking out because he was a really classical musician. He was like, why are you listening to that? Like it's weird. just like you should be listening to things that are more complicated, like so you can like more develop your ears. I was just like, no, I love electronic music. I love the fact that you don't have to go over the top to do something beautiful, and that was like what really attracted me to that genre. And but still, like I'm in my band, like we do avant-garde music, and it's way more complicated, and there is a lot of classical influence, and I study classical music too, but still, like for me, like electronic music, it's still the thing that really makes me, like, I don't know, makes my heart beat harder. Like I love it.
Typical classical musician, like, oh, you should be listening to... I'm actually kind of guilty of this myself, because one thing my friends always make fun of me for is because, even though this isn't like true at all, it's just kind of what I say a lot, is I'll listen to stuff like Dream Theater and Dragon Force, and my friends always make fun of me, being like, oh, you only listen to stuff because it's difficult, like the musicianship, you don't care about the emotion and all that. I'm like, how do you... I'm like, dude, I'm into like really sappy power ballads, man, as well. So yeah, but yeah, no, it's I know what you mean with the whole thing, because my parents were kind of... they never really kind of like said like what's going on with the whole and they never really said like, oh, like you shouldn't listen to metal or whatever, but they found it they weren't expecting it. Like my dad was the one that got me into, like, the first bands I was ever into were like Queen and Roxette, which aren't metal, but they're still two of my favorites of all time. And my uncle was the one that got me into metal, and he was just like, oh, and I realized, like, combined with the theatrics and epicness of Queen along with metal, that's why I kind of, when I found out what power metal was, that kind of just meshed.
Came together, yeah.
But my folks were like, they're very supportive, but they're always very like, I could tell they were not expecting me to do this, you know. And even to the point where still sometimes I'll be, even though I don't listen to it often, I'll listen to like the occasional like death metal, like I'll listen to like some mellow death, like the Agonist or something. And like my mom will walk by, and all she'll hear is Vicky Sarakis, like, and then she's like, "Why do you listen to that? You play this really like happy, like you play this really happy like metal, and you're listening to it." She's like, I don't understand it, but I'm just like, I know, like I listen to that the most, but I sometimes like putting that stuff on just because just because my mom's like workroom is in the next room, so she'll just look over and be like,
oh my god, yeah. Like I think my dad got used to it after a while, but like when I was a kid, it was just like classical music, like all the way. Like it was the thing that I would listen the most. And then like my my stepmom, like she came to Canada, like she's actually Cuban.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's Cuban. And
Cuban.
So like she came to Canada, and like she came with all the music that she listened, which like was kind of very different from classical music. Like she listens to like Latin music for sure, but also like she came with this is pop music, this is rock music, this is Björk. I was like, I have no idea what this is, but I want to learn more about it. And so my dad was freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, you ruined my child. What have you done?
It's sort of the same. Well, I mean, it's hilarious when your parents just come from two different worlds, because I should know that, because my dad, like, my parents like the same music, sort of, but like they kind of like, it was, for me it was probably the opposite, because my dad, like my uncle, as I said, my uncle was the one who got me into metal, and my uncle used to listen to all the bands from the 70s, like you name it, he's probably seen them, like Thin Lizzy, Black Sabbath when Ozzy was still in the band, and all that stuff. And so my dad heard a lot of that, even though my dad was always more into pop. And but then when my mom came here, like in Cuba, just because of how things are over there, the only band they ever heard of were like the really big bands. Like my mom told me she remembers a friend being at a friend's house, and they pulled out Kiss Destroyer, which nowadays is like pretty tame, but back then they were like, what the hell is this? And this is in like the early 70s, keep in mind. So.
Yeah. I just want to, because I saw Stuart is here, I just wanted to show him, because he gave me he made me a dream catcher.
Oh,
And like,
really?
yeah, and I just wanted to show him like it's on my it's on
Oh,
my,
that's
I
sweet.
guess it's kind of like my vision board. I also have this that was made by one of my dear friend, and like I just wanted to, it's there. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know if he's still watching the
Yeah.
live stream, but I just wanted to, because I wanted to send a picture and I forgot. Hey
Yeah.
guys,
Well,
just wanted to drop in and say hi. It's super late here, so I would leave soon. Again, have lots of fun. I hope you have a good day. Yeah, it's pretty late in Germany, so
oh, in Germany? Oh, wow.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
thanks for tuning in. And just I didn't have a chance to do this because
Just
I know
blabbing.
whenever you and me talk, even when it's not one of these things, it's just
We
we
talk
kind
a
of.
lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like, but just hey everybody who's joined so far, and just want to let you guys know if you have any questions for myself or Gaia, please put them in the comment. So yeah, oh,
Looks
that's
brilliant
actually
there. Yeah.
who is Stuart? Is he a friend of yours or?
He's a new friend.
But man, and well, that actually is a good segue into. That's one thing I was going to ask you, but I completely forgot about it. Was I remember a little while ago, I think this was a few months ago, I watched the stream with you and Lindsay from Cradle of Filth,
Mm-hmm.
for those of you. And one thing that I remember you guys talked a lot about were vision boards, and I
Yeah.
wanted. Could you explain to myself and the viewers what that is? Because I don't actually know. I was
Uh,
curious what it is, but
yeah, I actually made mine, so now I have one. I can show you after, but basically, like you put so what I did is like I listened to the book The Secret while I was making my vision board, and I put all the things that I wanna manifest in my life. I can show you a little bit. So here is on this wall. This is my vision board. Oh, just a sec. My dog wants to come out. You're annoying.
oh,
Please
oh,
go.
the classic stream with Gaia. A pet
Oh
will
yeah.
always interfere at some point.
I know. They're the worst. I think everybody's out right now. Yeah, okay. So vision board. Okay, so this is, oh man, there's like no light. Wait a second. I do have a bit of light. I think that's probably gonna be enough. Okay. Okay, you can see a little bit better. Okay. So here I have an artist that I really want to work with, which is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode.
Oh yeah.
I have like my dream studios here. So these are things I really want to have, and eventually I want to buy a house and like be able like to work at home doing music. Well, I have my cells for what I want to do with my selling my album. Here I have do a church concert with Lindsay. This is something that I really want to do with her.
That'd
So
be
like,
amazing.
yeah, so here I have like a church, and there I have Evanescence playing with the orchestra. So I'm just like, I want to have people playing like strings. I have harps, because my board would not be complete without harp.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I would really want to be sponsored at this company. They're the one that have that made my pink harp, so they're on my board. I put in words what I really want. So like do music full time, have home studio, do music full time again, and play theremin for next album. So this is something that I plan on learning how to play.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So basically, what you do is you just put the things that you want in your life, and it kind of works like a subconscious reminder, because like your brain is still looking at it like every single day, and so you try to put it somewhere that you know that you're gonna be looking at it pretty often. So for me, like it's on my, you see I have like all my setup here, so I have my computer, so most of the time when I'm working on music or I'm working on whatever I'm doing, I'm sitting here, and I have my piano here, and I have like my board, so it can really inspire me. So like it kind of works as a I guess really some subconscious, but yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, amazing. Well, before I just add to that, we got another comment from Bobby228. Yeah, 1:20 a.m. in Germany. Oh, thank you very much for coming. Love the vision board. Interest on these. Yeah, well, thanks for tuning in.
Probably
Dur-
won't be able
during
to sleep in time again. You have to sleep. Like, it's really important.
Oh yeah. Well, then that's coming, but I can't really say that because I'm the person who I'm a night owl. I'm usually up very, very late. It's just because of my work. Because the thing is that like with these streams, I've been doing like the kind of schedule-ish idea I had was for like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I didn't realize because since things just opened up again here in Ontario that I'm working 2 of those days. So 2 of the streams every week, like every Monday will be just from here in my house, but the other 2 will be from my work actually, because I work at
cool.
I work at a jam spot, so it's fitting as well. So, but yeah, but with the vision board, the thing that I did something similar, but I never made that, but like, so back in the time, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, and was a really kind of not like, it's not that bad to admit this, but I'm very like, it was a very bad time for me and for the band as well, because the last show we played before the pandemic wasn't the best. A lot of things went wrong, and then we had 2 members leave, which was kind of like, it sucked, but it also kind of, it was one of those, like, it was the best for all of us if that happened, just because there were lots of issues that we thought, well, you know, we can't really come to any compromise. So, but after a while, I was trying to seek out ways of getting back to in a better mindset, and obviously, like, I found our 2 new guys now, and they're both amazing. And I don't know if they're still watching. I saw them here. So what's up, Forrest and Stu?
Hi.
I don't know if they're still here, but I saw them a few minutes ago. But what I did was I did something similar where I kind of just wrote right here, kind of like what are some of my major goals, but a lot of them are very long term, and I need to write more short term goals. But like a lot of them are like stuff like playing the European festival circuit, and you know, like you making doing music full time, and getting on a major tour package, being able to collaborate with lots of people, with like other musicians I look up to, kind of similar to yours, like with Lindsay and which you already have technically, but with Lindsay and the dude from Depeche Mode and all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same with me, because like on my phone, I really should write this down or do something similar to what you did. Was I actually have like a big list of like musicians and artists that I want to work with, and there's kind of like sections of like realistic and unrealistic. Like not unrealistic, but like this can, like, there's one list of like, oh, these people can probably happen maybe in the next like maybe 2 or 3 years, like it's not impossible. Then there's people like Michael Kiske from Halloween and stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, that is way down the road there.
I mean, you never know. Like when I was not expecting to have like Rocky Gray from Evanescence on my album.
Oh yeah.
And like I had so many posters of him in my bedroom when I was a kid, and like to actually have his email and I have his address, and like having like him on Facebook, and I'm just like, this is something that would have never been like an option for me. Like I would never thought that something like that would happen. So like you never know.
Yeah, and it's funny when you meet your heroes and they're really cool. Like the first one that comes to mind for me is, I've met a few of them, but like there's very few of them you actually get to talk to. The very first one I remember was John Ricci, who's the guitar player for the band Exciter, who they still are, but they were like one of my favorite bands in high school. They were like a thrash band, because I was more into like thrash and speed metal back in the day. And I found out, I didn't know they were from Ottawa. I just knew them, and I heard from someone, oh, they're from, my old guitar teacher was like, oh, they're from Ottawa. Their guitar player works at this guitar store that's in a place called Bell's Corners, which is like a 10-minute drive from where I live. And
Oh
I'm
my
just like,
god.
I'm like, no way. And then I went one day, and sure enough, he was there, and he signed all my stuff and all that. And I remember, I still keep in touch with him and all that. And he's a very And he's a very sweet guy and all that, and we still talk a lot. So it's one of those things, so yeah, like, but that, I remember when I saw that when you announced that Rocky Gray was on your album, I was just like, am I reading this right? Is it the dude from Evanescence?
I was freaking out. Like yeah, imagine when I got the first version of the songs, I I remember like I saw they sent it to me. I was just like, I don't know if I can open this now. And like I turned off all the lights and like I sat on my bed with my headphones, like everything like closed down, and I just cried for a long time. Like the songs were like so different from what I was expecting, and he did such an amazing job. Like he took my songs and he put them at this level. Yeah, he's such a very, very talented dude, and like I hope I can have him on my next album too. Like he's a good person to work with.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that like I've been trying to do also recently is just using even though obviously we can't meet people like in person at shows and all that, I've been trying to use, because one thing I've been finding with being on Instagram is there's actually people are way more
approachable, I guess.
Yeah, or like they engage more with their fans on Instagram. Like I remember recently there was this is sort of more like there's a singer I look up to personally. She's quite new, at least in a band. Her name's Maddie. She's from the French band Nightmare. Okay. And I already knew them from before, but they got this brand new singer, and she's like probably like the best singer they've had, at least in my opinion. And then I follow her page on Instagram, and I remember one day randomly she must like interact with her followers and all that, because she randomly liked some of our stuff, and then I like sent her a message like thanking her, and we had like a conversation, and I'm just like and I've had that with like a few people, and like and it's so surreal that now it's so easy to like talk with people that you look up to, because I find that Instagram makes that much more accessible.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
We got another comment.
Yeah, so another feeling, one of my best friends recently told me that the drummer of Blind Guardian is basically his neighbor, and it would be open for collaboration or drum lesson easily. Oh, that's fucking amazing.
That's actually
do it.
Very small world, actually. Very small world, because if you're still on Babby, is it Toman? Is it the old drummer? Is it Toman the Omen? Because our drummer Panos knows him personally, but like talks with him online a lot. And our drummer he told me that recently he actually just booked online lessons with Toman, because that's what he does for a living now, is he does
cool.
collaborations and lessons and all that. So our drummer is going to take lessons soon from Blind Guardian's old drummer, which I was just like,
that's amazing.
Hey Jenny, what's up? And so, and it's it's one of those things, and it was the same thing with me, because I remember a little while ago I took vocal lessons with Mary Z from Helium Prime, which is like another singer I look up to a lot, and it was one of those things where it's it's hard to put into words, like when you get to talk to people that you look up to so much. And yeah.
That's awesome. I actually don't know which drummer. I want to reach out to him the next time I'm there. I think I could be wrong, but I think he's talking about the original drummer who was like on all the classic albums, Toman the Omen. And Mary is awesome. Yeah, Mary is awesome. She actually helped me out a lot with because last year in 2019, one of the things that really sucked was I actually had like a really bad vocal problem, and I remember at one show I threw out my voice so bad that it didn't even come back for a long time, and I didn't know what it was. And I went to Mary, and she kind of taught me a lot of these like therapeutic vocal techniques, and now it's helped out a lot. So I
have her to thank for being able to sing again and being able to sing properly, because there were times where I didn't even think I could again. Like even when we played the show with you, Gaia, like in Montreal, that was still like, even though I had been taking lessons with her, like I think at that point already, I still hadn't fully healed that show. So it was like still, so I thank her a lot for everything that she did.
Oh, that show was so amazing though. Like I keep seeing picture from that show because like it was
Oh
like
yeah, same here.
it was
And
a year ago, and
yeah, yeah,
like I remember when that was the first time that we actually like had booked the show by ourselves. So my
yeah.
Dave, like my guitarist, like he booked everything, and like I made the flyer, and like I remember talking to you about like your logo, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I did a
Well,
flyer, and like I that was such a cool show, and like I remember
yeah.
like after I had such a adrenaline dump
Oh yeah,
that I
yeah.
felt so depressed for like weeks after.
Really.
Yeah, it
Well,
was really hard.
the reason I remember that show is also because the thing with Montreal is that when you're a band from Ontario, it's hard to play there. Like we've only played there like 3 times, I think, and it was really cool for us. The thing that kind of almost made me cry a bit was the sound, because on that stage, I will still say at the Petite Campus has the best stage sound I've ever had. I could, because at a lot of venues, you're always telling the sound guy if you're the singer to turn it up more, and because the foldback speakers are like kind of they're like right down here, so you have to be like, no, I need to hear my vocals more. But this guy, literally, I could hear everything clear as crystal, and I've never done this before. I literally, after the show, went up to the sound guy, and without even saying anything, I actually gave him a hug.
Oh.
And he was like, okay. And then I said, dude, I'm just doing this because this is the best sound I've ever had at any venue. I heard everything perfectly, because whenever you play somewhere, there'll always be something that you can't hear well, like your guitars or whatever, or sometimes the drums will overpower everything else. So the reason the sound was so good, I literally like just said to him, dude, that's like the best sound I've ever had.
Yeah, it was good, but like that place is known to have like a really good sound, and like it's not too expensive to book, because we have other venue that are like better, but they're way more expensive to book. And but like the Petit Campus and Fouf,
Oh
if you
yeah,
ever
yeah.
been, Fouf is like I've played there because they have multiple stage, and I played on the main stage 4 times, I think 3 or 4 times. And like I remember the first time I played there, I was like, Nirvana played here. And I was just like, this is the
Yeah.
same stage. I was like freaking out. I was like, it's one of my favorite band. I was like, this is like a dream come true to play on that stage.
Yeah, we haven't I've only ever been to the bar at Foof's, like the ground
Okay.
floor. That was
Yeah,
right
it's the
before
second floor.
I
Yeah.
remember it was right before Heavy MTL. Me and a group of a bunch of people from other bands all just happened to be there at the same time, so we all sat at the same table. I called it the power metal table because it was all because it was us. There was me. There was my friend Josh, who's from a band from here called Scepter, who they're also power metal. Then we had Paul from Blackguard was on at the table with us, and I think a few of the guys from Litharo were there too. So I called it the power metal table because we were all in the same table, and it was cool. But yeah, no, that show I remember also. For those in the chat who are watching, who haven't heard this, would you mind regaling us with your corset story?
What happened with my corset?
Didn't you say like you couldn't get it off or something?
Oh no, that wasn't that show. It wasn't.
Oh,
No,
I thought it was that show.
No, it was another show. But like I can still tell the story.
Yeah.
It was a show where we played at I think it was a Piranha Bar, and like we hadn't played for a while because like we were like our drummer at the time like quit because he had like too much project, and so we had like a new drummer, and like it was. No, we didn't have a drummer by that time. So we were playing with Malakota. Yeah. And we were supposed to play. I think it was 3 shows. So there was Montreal. We were playing at Ottawa. Yeah, that was the first time we played there.
Yeah, you came here. Yeah, I remember I went to that show.
Yeah, and we played in Kingston. And okay, so the first show we had a session drummer, he's an amazing drummer, and usually we don't have any issue with him, but like I think he was too tired, so we missed like a bunch of like entrance and a few songs. So I was already not super happy with the show, and then like I think it was like the first or second song. Like my corset, like I had it just broke, but like it was stuck in the middle, and I couldn't take it off, and I was like trying to remove it, and I didn't want to break it because those are fucking expensive. It's like that one I think was like $300, and like it's made for me, like it's made on my shape, like it's handmade. So I was like trying like to get it off without breaking it, and I had Dave's girlfriend like trying to pull on it, and like it wouldn't budge. And like I went to the bathroom in between, like because I knew I had like around 2 minutes on that song, because like I didn't sing for a while. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to go to the bathroom, try to see with the light what I can do. And like I was like trying to get it off, and then like I realized that I had to go back on the stage, and I was just like, oh fuck it, and then I just ripped the thing open.
Man.
I was so stressed, and like thank God I had something under it. Like I had a tank top. I was like, this is like not happening. I didn't want to be with just a tank top on stage. Like I need my corset, I need my stuff, and like I was like, this is not a good day. And we ended up like doing the rest of the show, and it was fine. And like the shows we played after was okay, but like that show was a fucking nightmare.
I remember the that little run you did with Malakota, because I actually, when I went to the show, you guys played at DeCuff, and I already knew Lucas from before. Like I think that was the first time I met him in person, but we used to talk on social media all the time. So I went there to see them, and I think like 2 of my friends' bands were opening, so you guys were like the only ones I didn't know. And I just remember, and this was actually before we became friends. I don't remember talking to any, except for Dave. I don't remember talking to really any of you guys. I remember watching the show, and I remember Dave and Phil. They were on the floor.
Yeah, we had no space.
And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for them, because there's 6 of them, and there's and the stage is so small, you know. I did hear that DeCuff is actually getting remodeled right now. They posted some photos of like they made a brand new stage there, and it's a lot bigger. Oh,
that's amazing! Like I saw they removed the booths, no?
Yeah, they did. What happened was at the beginning of the pandemic is that since people were worried about venues kind of dropping left and right, we have a local guy here named Mehdi who runs a restaurant called The Coven, which our bass player Stu actually works at. He's like one of the he's the cook. Okay. And it's like a metal themed restaurant, and all the items on the menu are named after metal bands.
I think I've heard about that place, because I had people like tell me that to go there, and I ended up not going, but still.
Well, next time you come to town, you have to go, because it's great. And so, but he actually bought the building, like where Mavericks and DeCuff is. Yeah, he bought the building. So him and a partner like bought the building. So now they're technically the landlords too. So they don't have to worry about paying rent or anything. And they don't own DeCuff. Someone bought DeCuff under them as well. So he'd be paying them rent. But we're all happy here in Ottawa, because that place was like, those 2 places were the main like metal venues in town. And we're happy that it's in the hands of someone who like actually like loves what he does and actually cares. And but speaking of the corset thing, I actually remember I had a pretty funny stage clothe story before. Is we opened for Power Glove a while ago, and I thought it'd be cool for that show to dress a bit differently than I normally do. Since it's like, the video game metal thing, I said, okay, I'll wear something nerdy. So I remember when I was a kid, I was really into wrestling, so I wore these Jeff Hardy armbands that I got, and that show, I found out later on, was on the hottest day of the year. It was like the beginning of September, right after summer. It was the hottest day of the year, and the AC broke in the venue. That's the only time I almost passed out on stage. I literally got through the last song. It was like one of the hardest things I had to do. I got through the last song, and while everybody was tearing down, I literally said, like, under my breath, because I was so exhausted, I'm like, guys, like, just can you pack up my stuff for me, please? Like, just this once, please. I need to go. So I literally went into the bathroom and like took water bottles and still fully clothed, just
Oh my
just
god.
because it was so hot in there. And I'm like, I am not wearing these stage clothes ever again because it was appropriate for the show, but I'm like, no, I'm sticking to my usual stuff. No.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like when we play, like I try to have like a lot of places where air can can pass, like because like you get hot like really fast, especially with corset. Like they don't breathe that much, so like
Mm.
you need to have things that are like. So I always have like my skirt are always open, and I have shorts, so I know I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
move freely, and that I have the air.
It's, dropping. Yeah, I meant closing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant because there was a few venues in Ottawa. We've been actually really lucky because a lot of the venues here haven't closed. Like I think there's been a couple, but a lot of the main venues the metal bands play, like Mavericks and DeCuff and House of Targ and all that, they thankfully haven't closed. But I totally feel for all the cities like Montreal and Toronto, where a
Yeah.
lot of the venues are closing, which it sucks. But
Yeah, that reminds me
COVID.
the last time I went to Toronto was just right before the pandemic, so like beginning of March last year, and like I was hanging out with the bassist of Asteroid Incarnate.
Oh yeah,
And like
yeah.
so like we were walking the street, and like it was like, oh, this used to be a venue, this used to be a venue, and like it was like totally other place that closed down. I was just like, okay dude, next time that you come to Montreal, I'm gonna do the same with you, because we had like so many venue like come and go. And like there was a place called L'Escalier that was on St. Catherine Street. That used to be like a really cool place that people would go and like have open mic, and like it was a really really cool. It was not exactly like a bar, but more like a cafe bar. And but that place closed down, and like I think it was open for like 20 something years, and I think it's so sad. And like I see places like, I don't know if you ever been to Catacomb.
I never got to go. I never got to go. Catacombs, like from what I saw, like all the pictures and all that, it looked like the coolest freaking venue, and I always wanted to play there too, just because the place looked so cool.
Yeah.
And I know they used to do a lot of the big like metal shows there. Like I remember they used to have that festival, Wings of Metal, there. And yeah, so whenever I saw the pictures, I was like, oh, I want to play there. And we almost did at one point, but it didn't happen. So, but
yeah, that was like, sorry, my phone is like, you don't have any more batteries. But that was like one of my favorite plays. Like I think the first 2 or 3 shows that I played, like when I joined the metal scene, I had one of my first few shows there, and like it kind of like held like a very special place for me. And then like I've played every year. Like I would get booked for like Gutfest, or like I've played there a lot. And like when I think it was in November, no, it was before, I think October, there was like a Wish, one of my friends, like she did like a show there, and like she invited me, and like I played the harp with the girls for 2 songs. And after we were done, like I was talking with other people, and they were saying that that place was going to close down in December, and I was like so sad. Like that was like such a cool place.
yeah, that sucks. Like as I said, even though in Ottawa, even though we're all really kind of annoyed here with like the state of how everything is now with COVID, we've been lucky that like a lot of our venues have been remained like untouched. Like as I said, with Medi buying Mavericks, and the other place that we all liked was House of Targ, and that place, since they also operate as like a food place, they've been like doing the whole like takeout curbside pickup thing, so they've been able to survive off that. And yeah, so it's unfortunate to see a lot of that. So I think we have like maybe like 15 minutes or so left. So the other thing I wanted to bring up just because I've seen you do this on your page, and I've been seeing a lot more people talking openly about this, which is great. Is you do your motivation Mondays, right? Where you talk a lot about mental health and all that, which I think is great. It's really important. So tell us how you kind of came about to start doing that, like to talk so openly about your mental health on your page. And because I've been seeing that, like in the comments and all that, that a lot of people have been very, like, I know it can be kind of scary to do that, but like a lot of people have been very supportive and very grateful. Like, oh, people are talking about this, you know, that's great, you know. So how did you come around to start doing that?
It's really funny because when I was starting my career, when I was like starting posting things, like I remember my parents telling me like you only have to post like things that are like positive. And at the beginning, when I restarted posting, I was like trying to be, you know, you try to be like the best version of yourself, and you try like to show the best thing, and like I have this thing that's happening and blah blah. But then in the last few years, I kind of took a turn, and like I'm trying to be more open about how I'm feeling about my mental health, and especially because like I have I battled depression for like my entire life. So like for me, it's like most of the time I'm okay, but sometimes I have like weeks or like months that are like harder than other, and sometimes it's things happening around me, and I always felt like there's not enough people talking about the dark side, about the things that are more emotional, because it's a scary thing to open up to people you don't know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but then like I've been doing the the Monday motivation like for a little while, and the thing is like the more you open up to people, the more people open up to you. So like I get messages, I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of messages on Facebook, on Instagram, of people that saying that they read what I said, or like they listened to what I said, or like they read what I wrote, and like they were like using that to help themselves. And I was like, this is amazing. This is a thing that I wish I had when I was a kid. Like I wish people were like more open to talk about when they're not feeling okay, to reach out to other people. And so like I can't really put a point when I decided to switch. Like it just like started really naturally. And I remember though, like I was talking to I think it was with I'm pretty sure it was with Lindsay, and like she told me that one of my strengths was that I was really vulnerable with people, and that was something that a lot of people appreciated about me. And I was like, am I? And then like I really put the thinking process, and I was really thinking about it, and I was just like, yeah, I open up a lot. And like it's been even like on my, you know, I have like my other account for weight loss, and even there I try to be really open about stuff. And like when I have a win, I'm gonna post a win, but when I have a fail, I'm gonna post a fail, but I'm still gonna try to make it see what I'm gonna do to not fail again. Or like if I fail again, it's okay, like it's not the end of the world, we're all human. And but it's the same thing with music. Like I try to be really honest, because I feel like there's so much fake things around us. Like we have like, you know, we have ads, we have like all those beautiful picture, and everything is perfect, but nothing is perfect in life. And it's the beauty of life, it's the imperfection. And like I wish people would be more open about how they're feeling, or when they're like struggling. And I think it would help everybody, because like people would not be ashamed to reach out when they're struggling. And like last year I was with someone that was having a massive depression, and he hid it from me. So like I never knew that I was struggling with that. And like when we broke up, after a month, like I ended up in the hospital because I couldn't take it anymore. And like I was like, why didn't you tell me? And it was like I was ashamed. And it's, I know it's hard to reach out to other people, and like I know it's hard to show weakness, I guess, but it's not weakness for me. Like the moment that you're able to see how you're feeling and like share that with other people, that's strength. It's not weakness. And like I feel like we have like this idea, I don't know if it's the same thing with you, but I know that Latinos, we tend to not talk about mental health that much. It's like something that's really taboo.
Yeah.
So like in my family, that was something that depression doesn't exist.
Mm.
Mental health doesn't exist. Like it's not, it's everybody, it's in their head. Like it's not true. Like have you
Yeah,
tried being happy? Like
that's actually more of like the British side of me, actually, because the thing, I don't know if it was different, like from, because your whole family is from, your dad's side's from Chile, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, from, as I said, my mom's side's from Cuba, and the thing with I think it was quite the opposite for me, because my dad's side of the family is very like, oh, it's in your head, you know. They don't, because the thing with a lot of British people is that they don't like talking about that kind of stuff for that exact reason, because it's like British people's all stiff upper lip, suck it up, you know. And but my mom's side were always very, very like emotional and supportive people. Like I remember, like from a very young age, my mom always being like, "Oh, you can tell me anything," you know, blah blah. Well, my dad, I love my dad, but he was always kind of, in terms of the British side, it was always more like passive, or like let's not like try not to worry about this, try not to worry about that, like kind
More
of.
in denial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. And but yeah, no, I'm a lot of this kind of stuff about like you and all these people talking about mental health has been great, because for this, during this pandemic, for me personally, is the probably the first time in my life I ever actually dealt with it, because I'm someone that I've never been diagnosed with depression or anything like that, but I there literally, I'd say, like, for like a good 6 months, I think, during this pandemic, went into like a depression. Like I don't have depression. You know, when people like go into like a bit of a depression, that's and it was, and now I know, because before I couldn't, like, I tried to be very supportive with people who do have it, but I didn't understand it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand it. Like I'm like, why is, because my big thing, and this was something that I still struggle with now, and is that, as you say, is that social media makes it so easy for people to show just their best side of life. And I see there's lots of people who I see, even people who I know personally, who they seem to have amazing lives, and they have all these things, and or like they'll have, let's say, a like an amazing relationship, or or like travel a lot, or they, or even as musicians, there'll be people who look like they're doing a lot better than you. And that was somewhat something that I would always be. And then some of them, I always used to be like, well, I don't get it. Like, you have mental health, but you seem to have this amazing life, you know. But, and that's something I still kind of struggle with sometimes, is trying to understand some of these people. But I do understand that it's only, you know, people only show their best lives on social media. Not everybody is not everything's perfect. And now I understand what people mean, and I try and I can sympathize with anybody's with a lot of these people's struggles and all that, even if you don't see it, you know.
Yeah, it's because like for a lot of people, like you don't know. Like
Yeah.
they, like even me, like I'm a person that's always smiling, I'm always laughing, I'm always saying stupid shit, and like but like I'm a very bubbly person. That's a thing that a lot of people have told me that I am. But I also, like, I struggle with a lot of things. Like I struggle with binge eating for a while. Like I had trouble, like I eat my emotion a lot, and that was something that I did not have as an issue 10 years ago. But I went through like a very abusive relationship, and like it kind of, I ended up picking up pretty unhealthy habits, like coping mechanisms. I don't know how to pronounce that word. But anyway, like, so I found other ways to make me feel better, and like I started like eating a lot when I felt sad, and I felt sad for a while, so I ended up like gaining a lot of weight, and like it took me years to you know, like to lose that weight. And like even now, like it's been 9 years, and like I still have, sometimes I'm just, it's easy for me to go back to those habits. And like this is, I can say it, this is the first time in my entire life, in the past 10 years that I've been through a lot of things that were like really difficult in my personal life, and I did not overeat. And for me, that is huge. Like, I've been so
Yeah.
proud of myself. Like, the past few weeks, I was like, I was struggling a lot because I had things happening with my ex, and he was being such an asshole. Let's be real. Like, he was not being a nice person.
Yeah.
So because of that, like, I was really stressed. Like, I have eczema everywhere. Like, my body is freaking out. But even though I was like having all those issues and I was really struggling, I still was able to keep working out, to keep eating well, to not have a binge where I would eat a lot of candy because I have a really bad sweet tooth. Like, I love candy, or like, or I would not order food. And like, I've made the effort of doing everything that they tell you to do when you're feeling bad. So I was like, okay, working out is very important. Getting enough sleep is very important. Drinking water makes a huge difference. Like, we don't really think about it, but drinking water, it's crazy the difference. Like, you have so much more energy. It's like your brain finally can think. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Or just like, just reaching out to people that I care about, or like, just because we can't really hang out like with people that I
Yeah.
usually am really close with. Like, here it's really intense. We still have a curfew. We have like
Yeah.
a lot of things are still closed, and like, it's hard for like a lot of people. But sometimes just sending a message just to make sure that they were okay, or just to check up on them, like, makes a huge difference. So I was like really doing all the steps of what they tell you to do when you're in therapy.
Yeah.
Like, that really helps. And like, the last week I decided to cut him off of my life because I was like, yeah, that was too much for me. And
Your ex, you mean?
yeah, my ex. And
Yeah.
yeah, like, it was, yeah. It was a really hard decision to make because like, we had been together for 3 years. He got sick when we were together, really, really sick. And like, I helped him through a lot of his illness. Like, I
Yeah.
helped him bait. Like, it was really, really difficult. And when we broke up, then I realized I had depression, like, and that was something that was hiding from me. And like,
Yeah.
that was really hard. And I felt guilty for a while because I felt like I just like, I just let him be by himself while he was still needing help. And for me, that was something that was a lot of guilt for a long time. Like, I think it's been like 9 months that we're not together anymore. And like, I still had that kind of like really heavy feeling on my chest. Like, I did something really wrong. But I was unhappy for a long time. And when I made the decision to leave, it was because like, I couldn't take it anymore. Like, I was crying all the time. When I went to Ottawa with Astaroth, I was like traveling by myself because I needed to see what I wanted to do with this relationship. But still, like, the guilt was still there.
Yeah.
And last week I decided that he started lying to me. So I was like, you know what? Even if that person needed my help, and I helped him when I could. But now I have to think about myself, and I have to prioritize my own feelings and my own, my growth. I have to prioritize like healing, because like that relationship kind of fucked with me for a while, and like I want to grow from it. I want to learn from it, but also like I want to protect myself, because I was not doing okay. And the past we decided to stop talking last week, and this week I've been feeling amazing.
Yeah.
It's like such a relief, and like I feel like I feel myself again. But I did all the steps that were like really important for me, like to keep being able to breathe, even if I felt like things were like trying to drown me. I still did everything that they tell you to do, and it works. It worked for me. I'm not saying that it works for everybody.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It does. And one thing that I want to say is that when you're feeling bad, it's important to let your emotion be there, and not to be in denial, because like I think one of the thing that I did wrong, that why it took me so long to be able like to kind of move on from that whole like bad feelings that I had, it's because like I repressed it for a while, and like it kind of grew, and it started like like you start feeling sick, you start like everything like feels heavy. But the moment that I knew that I had like to, okay, I'm gonna take a few days and I'm gonna just let everything out. I'm gonna cry as much as I want to cry. I'm gonna not get out of bed. I'm gonna watch a lot of trash TV. I'm gonna just like try to not overeat. That was the thing that was like really like precise. I'm gonna do all the stuff that makes me feel better, except the eating part, because I know this. I don't want to have another problem. Like this is something that I don't want to have in my life anymore. I'm past it, and you have to let yourself be able to feel the emotion, even if they're like bad emotions. And that made a huge difference, because I used to like just like try to bury it and just like push through and like do like my stubborn mind and just like go and like crush everything. And like eventually like I'm gonna deal with that, and it's just in the back of your mind, and like years after you're still feeling guilty because you never dealt with the emotion.
I totally understand all of that, because like not like pretty much every point you just brought up, like this is something that like has been a problem with me too, because before, one thing I will say about this pandemic is that I remember seeing someone post something about this, and I took it to heart, because I thought, at some point this is going to happen for everybody, was this pandemic, and since we're not able to go out and do stuff, that we're all at some point going to have to confront some aspects of ourselves that we're not happy with. And I've had to a lot too, because I actually will admit, like, the overeating thing is actually a problem for me too. So that's like stress eating. That's actually been a problem for years with me. And the same thing with not so much an abusive relationship in the sense of like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but I had like over the past year and a half, I actually just cut out like a lot of people, because there were people, because keep in mind, I'm 22. I'm not that, I'm actually not that far out of high school. So
like you're still a baby.
but there was people who I used to hang out with in high school who they just turned out to be really bad, really toxic people. And I just kind of said like enough was enough, and cut them out, and kind of realized who my real friends are, because there were a lot of people in my life who were kind of just not good for my mental health. Like there was one of the weirdest things happened during this pandemic is that there was kind of two sides. There was one guy who was kind of my best friend for like since I was like in kindergarten, and I cut him out because he was always, I don't know what happened with him, but he kind of got this attitude, like he kind of had the attitude of like, oh, you're a musician, you're not going to do anything with that, get a real job, blah blah blah, your music sucks. And he wasn't even joking, he like legitimately didn't like our music, he like didn't like metal or anything. He's like, yeah, your music sucks, man, what the hell, why are you doing this? And he just started getting really nasty with me for no reason, and I kind of thought, you know what, like enough's enough, fuck you, I don't want to see you again, blah blah blah. And then on the flip side, something really weird happened, and it felt absolutely amazing. Was there was a guy who used to be, I literally call him, he was like the dude who bullied me in high school. Like I was relatively liked in high school, like I was like friendly with most people, but there was one dude who we never got along ever. And even out of high school, I still had like kind of like what you had with your ex. I had this kind of feeling of like, oh, I never did anything, because I'm not a confrontational person, so it's like I never did anything back, I never got my revenge, you know, I kind of just let, like, and it sucked. But then literally one day randomly I get a text from a random number, and all it was a giant paragraph, and what it was he's like, hey man, I'm sorry for being such a dick to you in high school, blah blah blah. And then just kind of outlined all these things, and then at the end he didn't say what his name was, but he's like, you probably know who this is by now. And then I literally like called him, no, he called me like a few days later, and now I have tremendous respect for him now. Like, even though we weren't the best of friends in high school, I actually like think like, man, like I felt like the whole world came off my shoulders at that point. Like all the hatred between us was gone, because now I respect him a lot. And I thought, I'm like, man, that was really like, I'm really happy that you did that, because that took so much time off my not time, so much weight off my shoulders, and now he genuinely seems like he's kind of like becoming he's like seems like a good guy now. Like he's grown up, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. People how they were in high school and people how they are like in their 20s, late 20s and 30s. Like people change. Like
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
feel like a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of people think that bullies they always stay bullies, but it's not true. Like I've seen people that were like really shitty to me when I was in high school, and like now I'm gonna be 31, and like I see them, like I see them a lot, like on Facebook, and like a lot of them, like they're really good people. They do a lot for other people, and like you can see that they really take care. Thing is, like when you're a kid, you know nothing. You think you know everything, but you know
Yeah, it's
nothing. You
true.
know shit. And like the a lot of people when they finish high school, they get through like a lot of different things. A lot of things can happen to them, and like it can really make you think better of what you did, or the person that you were, and like the person that you want to be. And there's a lot of growth that can come. And like even me, when I was like in my beginning of 20s, I was an asshole. Like I was not a good person, and like I still have kind of like don't fuck with me. I can be like a really mean person, but the more you grow and the more like you go through things in your life, you become like another person. Like you become a better person. At least most people become a better person. And
Yeah.
like it's part of life. I mean, like we all have like times in our life that we did stuff that were just like, why the fuck did I do that? That was a bad
Yeah.
idea, and that hurt people for like no fucking reason. And but the thing is,
You'll wake
like,
up in the middle of the night and you'll be like, oh shit.
yeah, and
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it's things that are really stupid. Like I have one thing that I really regret, and it's such a stupid thing. I went to my parents, and I have two little brothers, and one of them was, I think he was 5, and like I bought some stuff so I could paint with him because I wanted to make like a plate for my cats, so I could put like my cat stuff
Yeah.
on it. And like we're painting, and like I did like the thing with like fishes and blah blah, and my brother really wanted to keep the thing, and I said no. And he looks so sad, and like I still feel guilty about it. I was
Yeah,
like, shit, I
yeah.
should have just like give it to him. I could have made another one, but he seems so sad. And like it's still like that. My brother is like 19 now. He's like almost your
Yeah.
age, and like I still feel guilty about it. I was just like, I'm sorry I didn't give you the plate.
Yeah, and then yeah, and I know what you mean, because the same thing with me was like I never, like, even when I was younger, I was someone that I was always taught, like, you know, like be a good person to everybody, and I always
Mhm.
tried to be like that even before, but it was to the point where even it was like to my detriment, because when back then I was a huge pushover. Like I was a huge
Mhm.
pushover back then. So but now I'm literally like kind of now I'm much more like firm, and I'm more like, if someone tries to, like, I can tell when someone tries to take advantage of me, and I will literally just shut that down like immediately,
Mhm.
you know. So
Yeah,
it's
that's growth.
yeah, exactly. It's
Mhm.
yeah. Well, anyways, it's
Yeah, it's late.
8:11, so I'm gonna call it. But thank you very much for doing this, Gaia. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. Just the thing, if there's people still watching the stream, if you go on my profile, I have a link, and I'm giving away a signed copy of my album. Just gonna show it here. So like if you want to enter the contest, you just go on my page, you click on the link. The first link is like, hey, enter your email here, and like I'm gonna announce the winner on Monday next week. So if people want to have a dark wave classical weird album, that's a
Yeah,
good way to get it.
and I'll say it's a really great album. I have it too, and yeah, and also thank you to Babby228 for all the comments, and find so relatable. Yeah, and thanks for engaging a lot and all that, and yeah, and thanks for everybody who came. And I'll be live again on Wednesday with John Asher from Asher Media, and we'll be talking about some more of the business side of things. So yeah, so before I sign out, remember to follow us if you haven't already, and follow Gaia too. And yeah, so once again, thanks for coming on. And
Thank you.
yeah.
I hope you have a great night.
All right. See you guys. See you guys.
Bye.
Whoa.